Welcome back to my daily devotion. I'm Jose Saldana. Appreciate you taking the time to be here. Today, we're looking at John chapter 15, verse number 12. Jesus is speaking to his disciples, teaching them about love. He says, "This is my commandment, that you love one another, as I have loved you." Jesus was very kind to his disciples. He poured everything he could possibly pour into them while he taught them. He encouraged them at every point, and he always had something uplifting to say to them, something uplifting to say about them. In Matthew chapter 5 and verse 13, for example, he says, "You are the salt of the earth. You're the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid." There's some confidence that he instills in them by telling them these things. And they might not have even accomplished much of anything up until that point, but he uplifts them, lets them know, man, you're the salt of the earth, of the whole earth. You're the salt of the earth, the light of the whole world. I think this is what Cus D'Amato was drawing from when he did the same kind of things with Mike Tyson. "Oh, you're the greatest fighter. You're going to be the greatest. You're the best there is. You're amazing." In John chapter 14 and verse number 12, he says, "Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believeth on me, the works that I do, shall he do also. And greater works than these shall he do, because I go unto my Father." And they didn't do much of anything up until that point, but just watch him work. But he lets them know that he believes in them. You're going to do greater. Everything that you've seen me do, you're going to do greater than these, because I'm going to pour my spirit into you, and you're going to go out into the world and you're going to perform these in mass quantities, greater works, much more. He fed them. He taught them. He defended them from all of their accusers. He exercised patience with them, even though they were a generation that lacked faith, and he had to coach them and correct them on that point. He forgave them over and over and over again. He broke down his teaching principles into parables so that they could grasp his concepts and easily digest his words. He ate with them. He walked with them. He had no place to call his own home, so he spent his time with them. And then he passes that on to his apostles. Peter passes that on to the church. The opinion that Jesus had of him and the view that Jesus had of the church, Peter passes it on to the future disciples, the future church. In 1 Peter chapter 2 and verse 9, Peter's writing, and he says, "But you are a chosen generation. You are a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a peculiar people, that you should show forth the praises of him who hath called you out of darkness into his marvelous light." The only way Peter would feel this way about himself, that he was chosen, that he belonged to a royal priesthood, that he had purpose in this world, that he belonged to a holy nation or a holy people, and he was a special person. The only reason he would feel this way about himself is because Jesus instilled that in him. Jesus convinced him of that truth, that all these things were true about him, and so he feels this way about the church. Jesus convinced him that this is exactly how I view you and how I see you. And the way that he loved and treated the church allowed them to be convinced of that same truth. You don't ever see an instance of Jesus beating his bride or abusing the church in any way. He doesn't abuse her verbally, physically, mentally, or spiritually. This is who he loves. This is his bride, and he shows that by the way that he talks to them and the way that he talks about them and how he gives to them and how he gives for them. And so he commands us to love each other the same way. Love each other the way that I have loved you. And this is the example he gives of what it means to love. Help us. Help me to love that way. I want to love obediently the way that you do.